All right, guys. So lesson 4 is all about shapes, and then we're taking a look at a couple different parameters. So if you look at bubble number 1, our new code is there. Okay, we can change. Now it'll teach us how to change our background color. We've already done ellipses and rectangles, but we are now going to be working not only with the XY coordinate that places the object in a specific place, but we'll also be working with the height and width coordinates or parameters. And again, the word parameter is defined for you right here. It's just an extra piece of information passed to a function in order to customize it for a specific need. So maybe you want to make your rectangle bigger or longer or shorter or thinner. Maybe you want to make your ellipse, instead of being a perfect little circle, maybe you actually want an oval. Okay, so that's going to help us do this. So as always, I'll go through a couple of these things with you, and then I will leave the rest to you. All right, so continuing on. My computer's really slow today. All right, cool. So let's take a look. So our first assignment asks us, it says, these rectangle blocks have 2 more parameters that you can use to control the size. Notice that no stroke turns off the stroke or the border for the shape. So if you want an outline color, you can totally 100% do that, but it has it as no stroke, meaning that we are not outlining these shapes. It says, okay, do this. Look at the code and try to figure out how the last 2 inputs in rectangle work. Change the numbers in the second rectangle to make the red rectangle longer than the blue one. So again, I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And I'm going to make this a little bit larger. So again, if I'm looking at rectangle, it has X, Y, W is width, H is height. How might I make my height of my red rectangle bigger? What should I do with this last number for height? Should I make it a bigger number or a smaller number? What do you guys think?
Make it 200.
Make it 200. Okay, so let's see what happens. Oops. All right, and I'm going to reset and run. And now they're the same length, but I want it longer. So what might I want to do?
Go 250. On both of
250.
them.
Okay, cool. Let's try that. So as you can see, set, run. There it is. So again, we have XY, which we already know how to use the X and Y parameters for both the rectangle and the ellipse, because we've been doing that for the last couple days prior to break. But now we have 2 more parameters. We have height and we have width. Now, again, it doesn't ask you to do this. We've done the part that it's asking us, but I just want to kind of show you how the width piece works. So I'm going to make this skinnier. So reset, run. So see how if I make it a smaller number, my red rectangle gets smaller. And if I want to make it a fatter rectangle, I can do that also by, of course, increasing the number. And I'll go 150 instead of 100, which it was originally. Again, it's not asking you to do that. I just wanted you to see it in motion. Okay? Any questions on how to use the height or the width parameter for a rectangle? Any questions at all? Okay, cool. So if you have done that, go ahead and hit finish, and we will continue. And we will go to this next bubble, which is bubble number 3. Bubble number 3 basically wants you to write code that makes an orange ellipse behind the green one. Don't worry about the exact size as long as the green ellipse is entirely inside the orange one. Okay, so again, I'm going to go ahead and hit run. I'm going to slide this over, and I always like to turn on my grid just because it's easier for me to see. All right, so if I want the green one on top of the other ellipse, I'm going to add a second ellipse in, and I'm going to give it a different color. And it says it wants to be orange, so we're going to pull this down, and we're going to make it, oh, it doesn't have a choice for orange, but that's okay. I'll just type in the word orange. Help if I could actually spell. All right, and we are going to go ahead and hit reset and run and see what happens. All right, cool. So what's the problem, guys? Anybody?
I see the green one.
You don't see the green one. If we're not seeing the green one, remember the question of the day, guys. Why are we not seeing the green one?
Because the orange one is on top of the green.
Because the orange one is on top of it. So if I want to see the green one, where does it need to be?
Before the orange one.
I heard somebody say it,
I mean, after the orange one.
Exactly. So we need to move this green one until after the orange. Because remember, these are like layers. Okay? If it's just like if you put anything, whatever's on the first layer, number one there on my code, that is going to get drawn first. Whatever comes after gets drawn after. So if I put my green circle or ellipse after, and again, reset, run, there it is. And again, they said you don't have to worry about the exact sizing. So to me, I'm going to leave it like this. Okay? Again, what we are learning here is the idea that the order matters. Now, if you wanted to make it skinnier, again, that would be a width issue. So if I wanted to make my orange one skinnier, maybe I can change this to 300 and reset, run. And now it looks a little bit more like the picture, right? You can make it even thinner if you wanted to. You can do whatever you want. And again, I can shift the height of this if I wanted to. Maybe I'm going to make it also 300. I don't know. I'm just making this up. And there it is. So again, just like the rectangle, the ellipse, you can change the height and you can change the width. Width is the first parameter after XY. Height is the last parameter given. All right, any questions on how to use height and width on an ellipse? Any questions on how to make sure that your layering is correct? All right, hearing none, we are going to go ahead and move on. I'm going to go ahead and hit finish here.
I was about to ask something.
Oh, go ahead.
So you just put the fill under the ellipse to fill it in?
Okay, so let me show you one more time. So again, this has to happen in order. So if I want my ellipse to be green or orange, it has to come first. So it's kind of like if you're let's say you're painting, right? You don't paint a circle and then dip your brush into the paint, right? You have to dip your brush into the paint first and then paint your circle, right? So for that purposes, we have to put the fill first, the paint color that we want, followed by the shape that we want. But like I always think about like dipping my paintbrush into my actual paint first and then creating the shape or the color, the thing that I want to create. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Any other issues or questions?
Why you put 300, 300 on the first ellipse and then put 200 and 150 on the last one?
Well, the green one was already made for me. This one I just kind of played with to make it, I tried to make it look more like the picture in the, because originally when you don't, like it said, like in the instructions, it tells you not to worry about the exact shape as long as the green ellipse is inside the orange one. So I have met that requirement. But like I said, you can make this bigger if you wanted to by changing the height and the width. That wouldn't matter. You can make it wider. See? You can make it longer if you wanted to. But as long as the green is completely inside, the orange is what matters for this particular bubble.
What is the size to make sure it doesn't go outside of the grid?
So the grid is 400 by 400. So never use a number bigger than 400. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then obviously if you're doing rectangles, you never want to as far as your XY placement, you can't use 400, 400 because that would put it outside the grid. So I always say for the XY coordinate for a rectangle, never go any bigger than 350 by 350 for your XY. But as far as the height and the width, you can really use whatever you want. All right, any other issues or questions? All right, let's take a look at bubble number 4. All right, so this is for background color. So remember, your background color, if I run this, it tells me that there is a purple square covered up by the background. So if I have this purple square covered up by the background, what do I need to change in order to make the purple square visible? Take a look at my code or your code and let me know what I should change. So look at the code. It says fill purple rectangle, and then I have background and then fill blue rectangle. I want to be able to see my purple rectangle. What do I need to do? Think of this as layers. What is my first layer here, guys?
Yellow.
Yeah, my first layer should be this background because it's the background. Think of this as being the first layer of a painting. So maybe you want to draw on a black canvas. So you're going to draw the whole canvas black, and then you're going to add to it. So the background always should be, whatever the background is, you should try to make that always be the first layer. And once I move my background, there is my purple rectangle. And then it said, change the background from yellow to orange. So that's easy enough. Again, all I need to do is change the color from the background from yellow to orange. Again, it's helpful if I can actually spell. Set and run. And there it is. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, so I've taken you through bubbles 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to have you finish off 5 and 6 on your own. If there are any issues or questions, please obviously make sure that you ask. Other than that, you have the remaining 10 or so minutes to